Hey, welcome to American Reversion. I'm Steve Smith. How are you all today? I hope you're great. I'm great. Got up this morning checking the news and saw what we've been waiting for here, many of us. Turns out the Dems have introduced a bill requiring a federal firearms license in order to buy and own a gun. We knew that was coming, right? I'm drinking my third cup of morning coffee. Actually, this is a half a cup. I usually have 2 or 2.5. 3, I saved the third for later. I'm drinking it out of my federal firearms license. If you all can read that, you're familiar with that, aren't you? And you're familiar with that guy. And you are familiar with that, right? I drink everything out of this cup all day long just to keep it in mind. So yeah, we knew this was coming. We mentioned it. We talked about it after the latest shooting up in Buffalo. Not so much some other shootings, right? And we know that. But anyway, so these guys, I'm going to read this and we're going to talk about it for a couple of minutes. I'm going to start doing shorter ones. Just because there's so many big events that I think when I do multiple subjects, they tend to get wrapped up in each other. And one of the purposes for this channel is to provide information to you all so that you can pass it on to other people and get conversations started. The battle that we really have to win is in the hearts and minds of our fellow citizens. And I think, and I'll get back to that. So anyway, it says here, Democrat senators have introduced a new gun control legislation. This is from the Daily Wire, by the way. I'll put the link up over on Patreon underneath this. So Democrat senators have introduced new gun control legislation that would, among other things, institute a federal license requirement to buy a gun. Democrat New Jersey Senators Bob Menendez and Cory Booker, and also Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal, introduced the Federal Firearm Licensing Act Thursday. The bill would institute a requirement for gun purchasers to obtain a firearms license through the Department of Justice before buying or receiving a gun. The text of the bill states in part, this is just a short one, it shall be unlawful for any individual to purchase or receive a firearm unless the individual has a valid federal firearms license. Then it outlines the procedures for establishing that license through the Department of Justice, blah, blah, blah. Federal background checks, criminal history, proof of identification, fingerprints, all that stuff, you know, including the make, model, and serial number, and the identity, I would imagine that would be of the firearm, and the identity of the firearm seller or transferor. Down here, just I'm not going to read most of this stuff. I'll put it up over there if you want to read the whole thing. In addition, the bill makes it illegal to transfer a gun to any person. Transfer a gun, you know, give it to your son, your daughter, to whoever, a friend, to any person without first being transferred to a licensed importer, manufacturer, or dealer. It also makes it illegal to sell or transfer a gun to an unlicensed person. This, of course, is in response to the mass shooting in Buffalo last week, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Oh, we should put in this. Oh, we have a moral obligation. Don't you love that when these people use the word moral and obligation, about which they are neither? Okay, they are neither moral nor have anything to do with obligations. If they care about obligations, they'd straighten themselves up and their voters. But they say that they have a moral obligation to prevent these senseless massacres in our schools, supermarkets, places of worship, and shopping malls that are tearing communities and families apart. So said Little Bob Menendez. Okay, well, okay, we knew this was coming, right? We knew it was coming. My question is, because it's a question that they're already asking themselves, how many more mass shootings is it going to take in order to get this to pass? Now, they're not asking this of themselves hypothetically, and you all who can read between the lines, you know what I'm saying here, right? How many more? How many more? A question to be taken seriously. Now, what's going to happen and what do we need to do about this? We do need to do something about it. That's what I'm saying. We have to do more than just, okay, well, I read it, and oh my gosh, and I talked to, my wife says it's horrible, and I say it's horrible, and I get on and I'm telling you that it's horrible. You already know it's horrible. You agree. It's horrible. Okay? That's not enough. Okay, what this is going to result in is the NRA mail out a whole bunch more fundraising letters, because they are going to assure us that they're going to stand against this. They're going to this shows us that we need to stand up for our Second Amendment rights. We need to stand up against oppressive, actions and things like this, and they're the ones to do it. So if we would just send them whatever, I don't know, $25, $30, $50, they will send us a little $5 duffel bag and a whole bunch of stuff to cram our mailboxes full of, which they're spending most of their money on, preaching to the choir, and then they will fight this on our behalf. Go lay down, buddy. He ran through poison ivy. I don't want poison ivy on me right now. Okay, go lay down. And then the gun owners of America will put up something on their website that nobody but people who have subscribed to them will ever see. Matter of fact, the funny thing is that I just checked them before I made this. I just checked their website. Nothing on it. Nothing on it. Oh, they got something about Buffalo and all that, but you would think that something like this comes out, it would be flashing on their page. Alert, alert, right? No, nothing on. They'll get something up eventually, but that's the problem. So, if you're watching this later and you see that they do have something up on it, they don't have it up yet, and they should if they were on this. And as far as I'm concerned, are they preferable to the NRA? I don't know. Hey, that's maybe. Other people have different opinions on that. I don't care if they don't do anything. What good are they? Now, the situation is, I'm going to get around to this in a minute about what we need to do. Okay. First off, we need to have the information at hand. We need to know our positions and be able to articulate them well. The reason that they're able to get this stuff up there and sometimes sell it to an uneducated and ignorant population is, and all these people that just hear the headlines and just say, oh, something has to be done. Okay. Well, nobody's doing anything about all the people that fall off bar stools and kitchen stools or step ladders and die, right? We still have bar stools and kitchen stools and step ladders. Something must be done. And I don't think bar stools and step ladders are protected by the Constitution. I read something the other day, and I don't have it at hand. You all feel free to look this up and post it over on Patreon. I don't allow links on YouTube, but for those of you who are members of ours over on Patreon, go ahead and post it over there if you would like. You can post a link over there in your comment. But I read something the other day that showed, even though that our country of the United States is very high on shootings in the world, per capita in the world, right? Out of the, 193 countries or something that they view. Even though we're very high in that, and I don't remember the position exactly, it doesn't matter, very high. If you take out the 6 largest markets, as it were, for shootings, which are, of course, Democratic strongholds of, and I forget even the list here, Chicago definitely, Chicago, LA maybe, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Detroit. I don't know if Kansas City's in there or not. I'm sure it's up there pretty high. But anyway, if you took out the 6 major metropolitan areas that have the highest gun incident usage, illegal usage, we are almost at the bottom of the international list of shooting deaths. That's right. How about that? We are way down at the bottom. What does that say? We don't have a gun problem. We have a culture problem. Why do we have a culture problem? Well, because those cities where people are crammed in, Democrat controlled, have been forever. They contain with them a different kind of people. Cultures that celebrate violence, cultures that celebrate dependency, cultures that celebrate gangdom, or are certainly rife with gang activities. Those are the places that are responsible for the gun violence in our country. And the people that belong to those subgroups are the ones who are responsible for the gun violence in our country. Okay? I know that I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but this is what we have to keep reminding people about. You know, the toddler who is shot by a handgun is not the suburban or the small town or the rural toddler. It's the toddler from in the city who either was asleep on their grandma's couch and caught one in the head from a drive-by a block over, or who's waddling around, finds a gun that belongs to their mommy's boyfriend on the couch or on the end table, while the boyfriend and mommy are back in the bedroom at 10 o'clock in the morning, either getting high or getting it on. That's the toddler that's being killed. The people who are shot in criminal activity are the ones who are either in or visiting these areas. These areas populated by these subcultures that are responsible for almost the entirety of gun violence in our country. The number of people killed in these mass shootings, while regrettable, I'm not lightening their importance at all, is minuscule compared to the massacre that's going on every day and every night in our major cities. And the reason that happens is because it's allowed to happen. That these cities became purposefully, in my opinion, pressure cookers for this kind of violence. And the powers that be want this to happen for a couple of reasons. So that they can keep having their marches, so that reverends can keep leading marches for peace, and mothers groups can keep holding up signs, this has to stop, or this stops now. And so that big city mayors can go out there and make speeches about, we've had enough, enough is enough, and every other kind of BS, useless sayings that they come up with, but that appeal to the masses. And it appeals to the ignorant, uneducated masses who vote and continue to put them back in. Okay. We need to have all this information at our fingertips, ready to share with the people we know. Because you know that most of the people that you know, most of the people that I know aren't well versed in this subject. Okay, they hear the violence, they think it's terrible, as anybody would. Okay, especially people with younger people, you know, with kids. Oh, it's terrible. Why do we have to have this? And we have so many weenie soy boy and milk toast young adults with kids now. They're easily led and easily driven. And that gets to my other point. Why do people like George Soros and these other uber-lib billionaires, why do they fund all of these organizations like Antifa, BLM, all these other organizations? Why do they fund them? And why don't conservative billionaires fund opposing groups? It's very simple. Because those who want to control a large segment of society know that the way to do that is to appeal to the ignorant masses. That's the left. Okay? So they do. And it's easy to get those people who, having very little going on in their own life, not being creators of anything, but half of whom are simply professional victims, and the other half more than willing to identify themselves with professional victims, they are easily brought into the fold, brought out onto the streets, handed signs that they'll pump up and down, screaming for justice. Well, they don't want justice at all. Justice would get this crap off the streets like that. Whereas the other side, and so they get control out of it. Okay, Soros, his purpose is to destroy our country, and all these people are simply the useless idiots that he's using. They are useful idiots. Useful to him, useless to us. On the other hand, we don't have any conservative billionaires funding the opposite because, first off, they're usually in business, and the control that they have is over business. They don't really care about having an effect on the social fabric, except as it affects their business. Secondly, their base, us, we do things. See, we create things. We are the job creators. We are the creators of value, of worth. We have better things to do. We don't need to go out there and jump around with a sign to make ourselves feel important or as if we matter. So we have that dichotomy. So how do we do this then? They have a built-in flash mob, and we have a bunch of individuals, and the way that we do it is simply, in my opinion, let me know, if you have a better idea. Continue to talk, and we need to have this kind of information like I'm talking about now. Be ready to go out there, not just defend the Second Amendment or our constitutional rights or whatever they may be, but to promote them. We're far too busy defending when we ought to be promoting. Get out there, educate people. You can do it. I've done it. You can turn people. People can be turned because why? Because people respond to information. You have to make your information, your position, as attractive as the other side. It has to seem reasonable. It has to seem right. People will eventually join the side that seems right and reasonable to them. It's your job to get it done. It's my job to get it done. It's our job to get that done. Now, will this thing pass? Probably not. No, it won't. Not this time. Will it pass the next time? I don't know. Will it pass if they keep doing it and we keep having our media pump up these stories of gun violence, and we don't do our bit to educate and promote constitutional rights? Probably will. It probably will. This is why we have to play the long game. The other side always plays the long game. They learned that from the commies. I mean, they are commies. They learned that. The 100-year plan. While American business has a 5-year plan, Chinese business, Japanese business had a 100-year plan. While American leadership is always going from one manufactured crisis to the next, China, Japan, they're sitting back. I mean, Japan, we don't have to worry about them. But China's sitting back with their 100-year plan. And you know what their 100-year plan is doing? It's going just fine. And you may remember, if you've been with me, when I read the 45 goals of the American Communist Party from the 50s, and how most of them at the time, the average American citizen would say, oh, that'll never happen, and how most of them have already happened because they play the long game. We have to play the long game while we continue to play the short game. of supporting our families and living our lives. That's the problem. People who have lives worth living tend not to want to go out there and do extra stuff because we enjoy living our lives, right? The other side, being miserable in their lives, can't wait for the next thing to protest against. That's why the fight's unfair. But we got to figure it out. And we got to get out there and fight it. Starts with stuff like this. So please send this video to as many people as you can think of that may need to hear it. Some will agree. Even if they don't agree, they can get on here and call me a horrible person. Okay, I'll just delete them, if they're real idiots. But maybe it gets some information. It's your way. If you don't want to do it yourself, it's your way of putting the information in front of them. But nothing works better than person to person, right? Having a friend. But sometimes it works worse, because I know in family situations, sometimes it's what did Rush used to call it, the old diaper changing thing, that people tend not to listen to anyone whose diaper they changed one time. It can be tough with family members, but it can be done. So anyway, share this, please. If you'd like to support this channel, I appreciate it. And the way to do that is simply the link is down there. Come join us as a member over on Patreon. I put everything over there that I put on here, plus other stuff. We'd love to have you, and it really helps the channel. And please like and subscribe. Make sure that you're subscribed and share this with your friends. And hey, buddy, there's my poison ivy covered dog. Okay, I'll take one more drink from my Second Amendment. I wish you all a good day. Remember that America needs a reversion, or it's going to have to need something else. It needs you and I both to be a part of it. So go do your part, and I will too. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.